Okay, so I recognize that in the last week and weeks, there's been a shift of sorts. And for whatever reason, the first thing and the most relevant thing to share is one, a message of it's okay, calm down. And two, I'm going to teach you how to calm down. Because when it's there's so much and it gets so heady and it's like, there's no making sense of it. You have to dial back. You have to get your foot off the mind gas pedal, and onto the brake. You have to decelerate. You have to learn to calm down. Your nervous system is a tool, and you have free will. You have the capacity to learn, to use this tool, to integrate with this tool, to be in love and to be love as this tool, according to your choice. And I am here to teach you some shit that I learned. Basically, that's all it is. It's been a beautiful process of self-experimentation to get me through some of the more chaotic, more difficult, more turmoily, more confused, more rough patches of the rocky seas of my life story. And it I don't know, has gotten me to this point where I've got some tools to share. That's all it is. I've got some experience to share. Shit that I've tried and I've seen the effects I've experimented with and seen it to be true. So, it's called gnosis, to know thyself. And all that means to a scientist is run it. Run your experiment. If somebody says that they can duplicate a thing in a pea pod test, whatever they call petri dish, and you're skeptical of how that duplication worked, well, look at their procedure and then run it. And give it a shot and see if they're full of shit or not. Sorry. I think it's I enjoy allowing my language to flow freely, and if it triggers or offends anyone, I trust that will be a part of your discovery of your highest joy and good and clarity and love, and not that it end in being mad. But for when it does make you mad, another tool for that, move your body. Go to the gym. Do whatever. When anything triggers you and it makes you feel mad, it makes you feel whatever, move your body. Move your body. Let it. You can dance it out. You can fight it out. Ideally, consensually. There are places to consensually fight. Jiu-jitsu, boxing. We'll leave it at that for now. For the purposes of this, you get the point. You can move your body. You can run. You can sprint. You can yell. Using your voice to express that frustration, that sorrow, that rage, whatever, is a very powerful thing. And do note that when you use the power of your voice, it has impact. All the time. All the time. So, I digress, and we can get into that another time. But for now, the goal of this is to find a practice, find a movement, an exercise. There's so many words we could use for this. And words are only important to connect an idea, and that's it. Once the idea is grounded, let the words alone. Just as the child can be fascinated at this thing, and then once it's labeled a tree, is no longer fascinated by it. Sometimes there's too many words. As Lao Tzu put it, there's too many labels, there's too many words. There's already enough. Let it be. I digress again. So back to it. How do we work with this nervous system? There's a bunch of ways. Do whatever works for you. I'm going to show you a basic concept with the breath, with the vagus nerve, because it's just what I want to start with. So take it if you like it. First of all, if you notice, there are times when your heart rate is high and your breathing is and there's times where your heart rate is low and your breathing is right before bed versus exercising. And usually your breath, you'll find, has followed whatever you're doing. You're trying to lay down for bed, your breath gets slower and slower as you lay there, unless the beast of the mind is running wild and free, the monkey mind, then that can give you anxiety, right? This procedure that we're about to experiment with, practice together, is useful for that as well. Absolutely. They are one and the same. Anytime, for any reason, we're high, we can use our breath and our focus and our intention to lower it. We have a very powerful mind. It can run wild and drive us into a seeming hell. Many of us, if not all of us, have felt that. It's a moment. It's a moment. Right now is a different moment. Right now is a mildly calmer moment than that. And I am grateful. Now, when we breathe in, the goal is to simply bring our attention to the fact that we're breathing. What do you feel? You could focus on the nostril feeling. You could really, just like you can focus on your taste buds when you're eating a burger or some whatever with your spoon. You can also focus on the sensation of the breath tickling your nose. You could focus on the tip of your nose. You could focus on your belly, your ocean of chi, your diaphragm movement. You can focus on what it feels like in your ribs, what it feels like in your toes, in your butt. I don't care. Like, you can focus anywhere. That's the point, is just to, it's a distraction from the chatter of the mind. And it's tough. You're gonna be like, I can't do it. I'm gonna be like, yeah, it's freaking tough, dude. When I first started doing this, it was maybe, periods of a millisecond, a fragment of a second that I could focus on this. And then the thought would be like, this is stupid. What are you doing? You don't feel very good. Like, feel well. Like, what I mean, I don't need to go into this, but I want to because I think it's silly. I guess I can't. Oh well, you get the point if you get it. And if not, take the forest, ditch the trees. What I'm trying to say is bring your attention somewhere. It will help your mind calm down. It is not easy. It will take practice. Not hours, months. Just put your framework in that, set your expectations to reasonable. Like, how long would you do a medication and try something if your doctor told you to? And that's not what we're doing here. I'm not exercising that title right now. And I'm, yeah, we'll set that aside. What would you do if you had it on a trusted authority that you would, by your GP, your family doc is telling you, try this, give it a couple of months, see how it works. You wouldn't, like, assuming it didn't have a violent reaction, you'd probably try it for a couple of months and see how it works. And you'd notice that week after week, if it's a brain chemistry cocktail situation, we're working with SSRIs, we're working with whatever, you're gonna see your data's going to come back, and the second week might be different from the first, and the fourth week might be different from the first, right? So with this, I ask you to give it a shot. Give it the old college try. Whatever you're going to set your practice to, and maybe an initial goal is just, I'm going to do this for literally 30 seconds on my phone. I'm going to try it, and if I hate it, I won't do it any longer than that, but I will try it again tomorrow. Exercise the law of rhythm. Anyway, I digress. Here's the practice. You might notice you can hear my breath. I am using a technique where I constrict my throat a little bit. It's kind of like nasally, sinusy, like how you can change your voice, you can move your tongue around. You can do that and play with it, and just find a way that there's a little bit of friction, a little bit of tension for the air to move through. And what that does is that the sound waves, the air, the movement, it tickles the physical structure, the anatomy that is your vagus nerve. It's the coolest thing. You are beautifully made, inside and out. Every nerve and all of their names, they're beautiful, and they have purpose, and they're freeways of connection in your body, just like we look at traffic moving on a map. And you could see the freeway, and then the off-ramps, and then the side streets, and then the cul-de-sacs. Your nerves do that. There's nerves to move, nerves to sense, all sorts of nerves do different things. You're wired. You're literally wired. It's awesome. You're an electrical being. We could plug you in. You're electric. You have a self-generating battery. That's super cool. Yeah, it doesn't last forever. Like, people usually have an expiration date, and it's rough when it rolls around. We honor that. That's a whole separate topic. But for now, we're focusing on the beauty of how we're made, and the fact that we wake up every day, again and again and again and again and again and again and again, without needing to plug in. In a way, this practice is teaching you to plug in. We charge wirelessly, I've found. I digress. We'll get into that another time as well. But for now, here's the practice. Focus on where you want to focus. Breathe in. Try and make a little bit of friction. Try and make your breath evenly spaced, just for the purposes of this. We'll do it a million different ways. You can do it a million different ways. I don't care how you do it. And there's different purposes to how you do it. For example, Wim Hof breathing. Fully in, fully out. I love Wim Hof. That's going to build a lot of energy in your body. You're gonna feel warm. That's how yogis in the Himalayas would be meditating with a wet sheet in the winter when it's snowing, and evaporate the water off it. Incredible. So I'm teaching you a calm down breath, as opposed to let's amplify breath. And there's purpose in both. For now, the calm down breath. We're tickling that vagus nerve with our constriction, and we're focusing our mind not only on what we feel. This is me. I like to multitask. You can just leave it at what you feel and just breathe. Like, it's hard enough with the mind thoughts that will barrage you inevitably, probably. I don't mean to doom you to that, but if it is your experience, if you're starting off, and if it was anything like it was for me, it was very difficult. It was very fucking difficult. So it's okay to just focus on whatever you want to focus on. For me, at this point, what I find myself doing is I try and focus on, because I like to move things in rounds. I have a more ADHD style brain. You could say that's my flavor of thought process. We all have very different brains. Your wiring control center, continuously rewiring, epigenetics. What are the choices you're making right now? They impact you. That's good. That's where the seat of the power is. So, congratulations. You're here, taking your power back right now, making a choice that's for your well-being. Love that for you. So inhale. And exhale. Trying to make them even. You might wonder why I wiggle randomly like that. I've found that, so I'm a chiropractor. That's my day gig, and I know how the spine works. I move the spine regularly. People come in, get their spine moved. But in my self-practice, I found so much liberation in dance, so much, I don't know, joyful connection to being in the practice of moving my spine. It started with Master Chia saying, you just rock back and forth. I love you, Master Chia. You rock, rocking, slowly rocking. And then in time, I started to feel a little more nuanced motion. I have the privilege of a little experience now in feeling what my body feels like. And now, for some people, it's going to sound silly because you spent your whole life feeling what your body feels like and you're native to it, and that's awesome, and I love that for you. And for others, I mean, I was very disconnected from my body for the first few decades there, for all the reasons. Just numb, right? Not aware of how the sensational balance feeling, the proprioceptive feedback is from my L1 to L2 multifidus. You know what I'm saying? It's a different level of awareness now that I get to experience just because you put in the reps. You can do anything you want to if you put in the reps. My boy AJ said it best, and it's true. Like, yeah, we have different IQs. We have different native skills, things that come intuitively and easy to us. But we're all powerful. That's one thing we share in common. Like it or not, you're powerful. And it is wise to recognize that. Some people, well, you see how their power is being used by the life and where their energy's going. We've all got a story with it. I've got a story with it. I'm a human being. My name is Cassidy. Anyway, breathing. Back to breathing. Aside from the movement part, it is important, I think, to maximize bandwidth efficiency of the circuitry to allow your spine to be in its anatomical balanced position. And that means I'm sitting on a bolster right now. I'm sitting, my tailbone's elevated a little bit, and then I'm crisscross applesauce here. And that bolster, that raise of my tailbone, allows my lower back to have a little bit of curve to it. Hips above knees, if you please. Do this for your workplace ergonomics too. And then shoulders come back. Imagine you have a little hook here anchored up, reminding you of the magnificent self-worth that is truly yours to accept as you're ready to. It's a regal position to hold your chest and chin up. It doesn't have to be so extreme for the purposes of our breathing exercise. But get your spine up. TLDR, sit up straight. And what you'll find, maybe not the first day you try it, maybe not the second day you try it, but eventually there will be a moment, a brief moment, where you feel a little less anxious. You feel a little less however you felt. You feel a little more calm. Feel a little more peaceful. Feel a little more neutral. Things aren't going haywire. It's crazy being on a road when you're going really fast and there's hairpin turns. But when you're going slow, they just look like, oh, another left, another right, another, it's like, wow, this is a very windy road. Oh, look at the trees. It's not scary. It's important to, sorry, I'm rubbing my ankle. I'm rubbing my talus because I've been sitting like this for a little bit, and it makes my old ankles feel all stiff. But I want to watch what I say. I would choose to say my ankles are powerful. My ankles are incredible. My ankles have done a lot. My ankles are healing. My ankles are on their way to exploring new heights in vitality and in function, because I am making choices that benefit my ankles because we're on the same team, and I want to honor the player that they are on the team. And when they're giving me feedback saying they're stiff, I want to honor that and love on them, not be mad at them for being stiff, but rather rub them. And what am I doing functionally, physiologically, rubbing it? I'm bringing 3 things right off the bat. I'm bringing heat, friction, inflammation. What does that do? It brings in white blood cells to take out the trash. What else is the mechanical motion doing? Breaking up a little bit of old scar tissue, a little bit of stiff cruscides, a little bit of scabs, and breaking it up and calling in the body's support system to come and take out the trash. And the third thing I'm doing is bringing my nervous system's awareness to the spot. And so I hypothesize that it is wise to bring that attention in a positive light as opposed to a negative one. Your choice. Let me know how it goes, or don't. But take note for you how it goes. If your attention is in loving towards your body and what it looks like week over week, month over month, year over year, decade over decade, and what it looks like under the direction of negativity, of I hate this, and isn't it beautiful that the heaviest music, this is just a side note I find beautiful, but the heaviest music gets the human to headbang. And what's that doing? That's moving the spine. It's great. It's great. And it's using a waveform to do it. I love that. That's why you have really sweet fucking metalheads. Think about that. Often the big scary looking dude at the metal show is very kind. I've found anyway. We all have different experiences. So you may not have found that. But so far, this data has created this outlook and hypothesis. I'll continue to reassess as I meet more big metalhead dudes. But you know, it's also the people you meet are very much influenced by your choices for yourself. So as you make new choices for yourself, you'll find yourself around different people. Or lonely. It's true. When you are, when you have one thing that you've made from clay and then you're gonna make a new thing from clay, there's a part where you don't have a thing anymore. You just have clay. And so as you change yourself, don't be surprised when there's times where you don't know what's going on. You don't know where you're headed. And in times like that, I strongly suggest giving it a shot with practicing the breath. It builds over time, and you're going to be future you, whether you like it or not, eventually, no matter what. You keep breathing, you'll get there. So, what you invest just a little bit in today, with your time, with your energy, with your attention, your little choices, your 1% change, like they said in that book, 1% change a day adds up over time. It's exponential. Hope that helps. Namaste. I love you. You're doing great, by the way. Keep it up.